Hey everybody, this is Alzorath, and welcome to another Diablo 2 build video. Today we're actually looking at something it's kind of cookie cutter, but this is my own personal take on it. I like having the Javazon that does melee and range. Some people just prefer Lightning Fury and just leave it alone situation, and you can do that with this build too. It works fine with that, and you could actually have your alt slots open. But with doing it kind of like a hybrid where you can do both, you can actually take on bosses a lot easier than just your spam Javazon can do. And that is because Charge Strike, you can still do Charge Strike with that one too, because you need that for a synergy anyway, but having a swap that does it even better is always nicer. So that's kind of what we did here. This is just your standard Lightning Javazon that does a bit of melee on the side, and this is kind of what you want to go for on your gear and your stats and stuff. And I felt having a standard one in here was kind of a nice little change of base from some of the more weird builds that I've done lately. So, as you can see in the background, we've already probably murdered Bale. It went very quickly. I did record that about a week ago, so I don't know exactly how long it went. I recorded that ahead of time. But yeah, it went fairly quickly, and we just went ahead and smashed him down. But over here, we've got stats. And yeah, on our character Elemental P, I did reset the stats so I could actually equip her with this stuff. This is not my primary setup with her. I actually prefer my Boson, but this one is very, very damaging. We get enough strength for gear, which is pretty high because we are using Monarchs. Dexterity, high enough for gear. You notice it's in the 200s. That's because I have a lot of plus dex gear, and I always get my base stat high enough to equip it. That way, if I ever want to change out gear, I can actually just equip it without having to respec. Now, if you're using Pluggy, you can just automatically respec. If you're using normal Diablo 2, you should be able to get enough tokens over time to actually respec kind of freely like I do here, and that's how that works. And then the rest into Vitality. We're at about 1,000 with either swap. You see that we have a little bit more with our ranged one than we do with our melee one, but the melee one does so much more damage. It may look like it doesn't from this. You may notice, oh, Charge Strike does 8,000 there, and that does 743. Yeah, Charge Strike, but the Lightning Strike thing is really good for clearing out crowds in melee. So, yeah, it's kind of what you give. Lightning Fury is also really good for clearing out crowds. But next into skills. Pretty straightforward. Of course, no bow crossbow. In the passive tree, we just get 1 point critical strike, 1 point penetrate, and 1 point pierce. And if you don't have enough to get pierce up to about at least 50-60%, you may want to put some more points in there. We have plus skills on our gear, so it kind of adds up to enough to do that. Level 6 to 9 is usually fine on that. And for the rest of it, you're just going straight into the Javelin and Spear tree. 1 into Jab, and 1 into each of the Poison Javelin things, and then we put the rest into Lightning. All the Lightning skills. Now, I start out usually with Lightning Fury and Charge Strike. These are your two most important skills. Charge Strike is way more powerful against a single target than Lightning Strike, even though, yeah, at first it'll look like it's not. But it's because it releases 3 charged bolts, and since you're hitting with a melee attack, all 3 of those bolts will pretty much usually hit your target, especially if it's a boss like Bale. And it does a ton of damage, because that's 3 hits for 1 to 8,000 damage like we have right here. You see it's like level 38 because of that. But these are the first 2, and they are synergized together. So you can see they actually do boost each other up. So this gets an extra 10% damage per point, and this gets an extra 1%. Lightning Fury doesn't need a lot of boosting. I don't know why they even actually put those synergies on there, but it's there. But those are your first 2 that you want to level up. Then you want to start in on Lightning Strike, which is going to be your crowd control with melee if you're running the melee side of things at a time, or you're letting your Titans recharge, which is why I run melee, because I like to do longer runs. This will actually give you a nice little chain lightning effect that bounces around 39 freaking times. It's better than chain lightning on the Sorceress, and I don't know why they did that. It's just insane damage. The chain lightning on the Sorceress does more damage, though, because you'll have everything leveled up with that. But this still does significant damage. So you have those 3 kind of leveled up. After that, you just start dumping into the Lightning Bolt and the Power Strike. Power Strike is kind of useless. I'm going to say kind of. There are some very niche builds that can use Power Strike to good effect. And it does very high lightning damage whenever it does hit. 21,000. Bam! Just smack into their face is the peak of it. With this particular setup, and that's usually why it's the 4th one I level up. But if you have an on-strike effect for your characters, it is actually pretty good, because this is one of the few that actually has an attack rating boost. You may notice this doesn't, that doesn't. They don't have attack rating boost because they don't actually have to hit to do their thing. This does. This has to hit to do its lightning damage. But whenever it hits for like a truck. So Yeah, that's that thing. And then the other one we are just leveling up for the synergy fact is the lightning bolt. This is basically a dumbed down version of this. It does convert it to elemental damage and all that fun stuff, but Lightning Fury just does so much more damage. It's just the priority there. Now, you can dump into these as, like, you're leveling up just to have something that's leveled up. Personally, out of the two while leveling up, if I had a replenishing Javelin, I would go Lightning Bolt. If I had a just normal Javelin, I would be going with Power Strike. So, depends on what you've got, and just dump into that until you actually can get up to Charge Strike, which is relatively early. You'll get that by Act 2. It's level, I believe, 20... No. Yes, level 18. Because, yeah, 6, 12, 18, 24. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this one's level 18, so you should have that by Act 2-ish if you're just going through, like, normal play. Not speed running, just normal play. And you'll have access to that, and it's a great boss killer. Definitely recommend it. And, yeah, that's how it kind of goes with the skills. I shouldn't ramble too much on the pathing on that, because this is not a going through the game. That's what the series are for. But last but not least, we have our inventory. First of all, Mercenary is the usual Infinity, Fortitude, and I'm actually using Vamp Gaze on this one instead of the Endarials, just because I wanted to have a little bit more fire resist on there. But our gear, I'm not sure whether I want to start with the melee or range. We'll do those last. We'll start with the gloves. This is overkill. This is like a really good pair of gloves I actually only recently identified. I had a big pool of rare gloves that this was in, and I went ahead and identified them, and this was in there, and it was +2 Jav, 20% increased attack speed, and resists. Those were the main three things I saw in there, and that was like, I am using that. That is going to be like my final pair of gloves. You can shop +3 Javelin and Spear skills and 30% increased attack speed. No, 20% I think it still is, but +3 Jav and Spear. Magic gloves from Anya and from a few other places. You can shop at any of the vendors that sell gloves. We'll actually have the opportunity to sell that. And that is basically the gloves you're kind of going for. Just, you can shop them for that. I chose to stick with the +2 because you can only get +2 on rares, and this gives me resists, and I like my resists being high, because I am going to be going in on melee. Magic Find's not bad, the rest of it's just there. But yes, you can shop a close or better pair of gloves fairly easily. Boots, we're just running War Travelers for a little bit of Magic Find, because why not? Rings, I'm actually using the dual leech ring that I hop around onto a bunch of different characters, because why not? We do stab, so we might leech a little bit on that, and we can get mana leech whenever we're like hitting things, so it saves us a little bit on the mana end of things whenever we're throwing our javelins and stuff like that. So that's nice. And then we have Ravenfrost for Cannot Be Frozen, because we definitely need that. It adds some dexterity as well. You notice that we have a lot of plus dexterity. You could like min-max your stats to actually have more life if you were going to guarantee yourself using these. As far as armor, I'm using Chains of Honor because I don't like Enigma with low cast speed. So I stick with Chains of Honor, and I'll run around and kill stuff like that. I don't mind long runs. More kills means more chances it drops. And frankly, a lot of people are like, oh, you have to be farming the level 85 areas or you're not going to get good. No, you can get a lot of good stuff from not those places. A lot of good runes can drop into like the 70s. A lot of good uniques can drop into the 70s. A lot of good rares can drop into the 70s. And a lot of good sets can drop into the 70s. So on your way to things, it's okay to kill stuff. Killing bosses on the way, you can still get good stuff. A lot of these things, most of the things equipped on this character, you can get from lower places. The only things you can't get are the diadem and the alternate weapon I have over here, the Thunderstroke. The rest of it, you can actually get from fairly low things. High Lord's Wrath, you can get that from fairly low things too. You can get that from, I think you can get that from Andy even, now that I think about it. But yeah, we have that for more increased attack speed because we are going to be getting up close and fighting, and we actually do want to attack a bit more often. And it works out quite well having that little bit of increased attack speed, and the plus skills doesn't hurt either. Deadly Strike is pointless, I get it. It doesn't do anything on this. I don't care about that. It's on here. It's just an extra thing. You could go Mara's. You would lose some of the attack speed. I like the attack speed, so we're going to stick with that. Helmet is Griffin's Eye, as we saw before. This is going to have a lightning facet in it. And it's going to be +1 all skills. It's got a little bit of faster cast rate, so that is some excuse to maybe lean towards Enigma, but we don't have faster cast anywhere else, so we're not going to get up to a decent speed on that. And we have boosted lightning skill damage and reduced enemy lightning resistance by a significant chunk. This is amazing on here. You don't need it to actually do this build, but it is very, very nice to have. If I wasn't using this, I'd probably use like Harlequin Crest or something like that with some Magic Find, extra plus skills. It'll work just as good. Harley Crest is probably the Shaco, unique Shaco, is going to be probably the best thing that most people are going to have on this. This is an extremely rare drop. I've got 2 of them, if that tells you how long I've been playing the damn game. But yeah, this is a very good helmet to have if you can actually get your hands on it. And that's our main gear. On our side gear, we have for throwing side, we have Titan's Revenge, which is a fairly obvious one here. I don't have an ethereal one. Oddly enough, I've never found an ethereal Titan's Revenge since I quit Diablo 2 the first time. And coming back to it, I haven't found one since. And I have been farming for it too, but we have a normal one here. It's got good plus skills. It'll still do all the work that you need it to. It's replenished quantity, and hey, guess what? If it gets low, you can repair it. So, hey, you lose out on a little damage, but hey, you've got ethereal there. You could upgrade this to a matriarchal javelin. I just haven't done it yet. It works just fine like that. It does more damage, and it's really a solid thing. You can even just do this with just 2 Titan's Revenge and swap between them whenever you are like low on one, swap to the other one and just go for it. On the shield for the range one, though, I have Spirit, which gives me another +2 skills, which increases the damage significantly and lets me do that. And I don't have to worry about getting hit too much on this, so I just use this to actually smack the living crap out of things, and it works beautifully. And we just go ahead and rip things to pieces. You don't have to make it in a superior monarch. I just chose to. So, yay! This one is this is one that I transfer around to a lot of characters as well. This is why you have so much strength. If you aren't going to do a monarch, you can do a few other options for the shields. I would recommend looking at plus skills as a potential option, but there's also just other good lower stat rec shields that can be relatively useful for this as well. Just get a decent one. You don't need top of the line stuff. I just happen to show the best stuff that I have for this build, because a lot of these builds will work with lesser gear. That's the one mistake a lot of people make, is they think that you always have to have top best in slot to actually ever make a build. No, you can beat the game with garbage. I have proven that several times. Even with some really bad builds, you just have to be stubborn enough. But let's go ahead and look at the melee side of things. That is going to be your Thunderstroke, which is fun. It's a fun javelin. It's not the best one for throwing, because it doesn't self-repair itself, and it oddly enough has a plus lightning bolt on it, which is really stupid. You wouldn't want to use this, but it has reduced enemy lightning resistance even further. That works alongside this, so we actually have a 40% reduction there, so anything that's not immune, like, say, an Act Boss, will get their butt handed to them, which is wonderful. I love that. And this is the one that I use to stab Bale in the face many, many times, and it just rips him to pieces, because that's minus 40% lightning resistance just right off the top and makes him cry. You can do the same with this. It's marginally slower. It's like almost immeasurably slower. So yeah, and we have increased attack speed on this as well, so we can jab fairly fast. We have a chance of casting lightning on striking, which is kind of funny. I mean, you'll occasionally see it shoot out a lightning bolt, which is cute. And we also have +4 javelin and spear skills, and yeah, that's where it's at. And we also, this is almost perfect, by the way. That's one reason why I'm putting it on here. I'm happy with it. And then on the shield, we actually have Storm Shield with an in it. This is a very classic kind of combination here. You could go Spirit on this as well. I just have it on here because, well, I wanted to use it on a build, and this one seemed like the best one out of the bunch to use it on, because I haven't really gotten to use my Storm Shields very much ever since coming back. I have a few of them now that I just use around. I threw an in this one because it felt appropriate to have extra resistances on top of there. We don't have maximum resists, unfortunately, but it helps. And it has damage reduction, which is 35%. I think we actually hit we're almost at the cap. We are at 42%. No, 43%. Because the cap is 50%, so 43% damage reduction from those. As far as the belt, I have Razor Skin, by the way. I forgot to mention that. It's piercing attack that gives us the 33% piercing attack on this. Plus, we have over 60% on the throw. Oh, sorry. With that, there's our throw. We have 69% there, so it goes 100%. You just pierce kind of thing. There are alternatives to that. Thunder God's Vigor is actually a good one to actually have instead of that, and I have used that before with the melee one. I generally would favor it over with the melee one over the throwing one, just because it does so much more. It does give plus to Lightning Fury as well, so if you're interested in that, and they're both relatively the same to get as far as like finding them or trading for them online. They're both kind of mid-tier belts, kind of decent belts that people will want something for usually. but they're still fairly solid damage. And yeah, Thunder God's Vigor also has the fun thing of casting Fist of the Heavens randomly whenever you get hit. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's funny looking. And this also gives you a maximum lightning resist, which would put us up to 85% lightning resist. Gives us a little bit of lightning absorb, so it's better against like lightning enchanted guys, which this build honestly struggles with because, well, you know, they become lightning immune very easily. So that is the start of this build. Let's go ahead and do a demonstration real quick. Let's go ahead and swap over to the melee, and we'll just rip these guys to pieces with a little bit of melee love. Hi, guys. See? It works. Hey, and there's the zombies. But yeah, it's pretty powerful. I mean, it works on players 8. Almost that good as well. So yeah, and we can show off like this guy's immune to lightning, so we're not going to do a lot of damage to him. We usually let our mercenary handle that. Hey, mercenary, go take care of that guy. See, he's not doing too well, but he gets him eventually. So yeah, immune to lightning, not exactly our sharpest hour, but we can pretty much murder everything like that. And these guys are still immune to lightning. Let's go ahead and lightning javelin. You can see why lightning fury is powerful because it just shoots off at everything. And yeah, this is just... Yeah, we are weak versus these guys, but yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Our mercenary can handle immune to lightnings. So generally speaking, this is one really good one for running the World Stone Keep. And you can actually get more magic find on it really easily by swapping out certain things. And I'm kind of actually surprised we found Sazabi's Redeemer there. Let's go and identify it so you guys can see it. There it goes. Redeemer. It's fun but worthless sword. Nobody ever wants it, but it's fun. But yeah, that works out pretty good. And yeah, I'm really surprised we found that. It's not super common. But yeah, it works good for killing bosses. You can go through Chaos Sanctuary with it fairly easily. There are lightning immunes there that you're going to have to let your mercenary handle. Probably the best places for this are the very obvious, which is cows. This is known as a cow killer. There's the World Stone Keep, which is usually pretty good. You just don't bother engaging with the lightning immunes. You run through and then you just take care of Bale's minions. Rip them to pieces, hope you don't get any gloams. You can go through Andariel super easy with this one. Just avoid the slow-moving zombies. But there aren't too many places this can't go. You just want to avoid lightning immunes. Because, well, most of your damage is lightning. And it just rips things to pieces because you do so much damage with it. Better than a sorceress, even. Which seems to be a trend with these videos. Where basically, the sorceress is a better paladin than the paladin. The Amazon is a better sorceress than the sorceress. So what's going to be next? The druid being a better summoner than the necro? Probably not on that one, because the druid summons suck. But they don't suck in Project Diablo 2, so we'll see how that goes as well. So anyway, that's the end of this episode. It's probably been way too long, and of course, I will try to remember to do the timestamps below, but if I forget, try to remind me, and I will try to put them in. But other than that, keep gaming, have fun, and peace out. This has been Alzorath, and I will see you guys next time on Diablo 2. Bye.